How's it going? Welcome back. It's Jonathan. Okay, so you probably haven't heard of this channel before. It's called the China Observer, and it goes through various things that are happening in China, whether accurate or not accurate. We're not 100% sure because a lot of what happens in China stays in China. However, I can tell you for one thing that the Chinese economy is somewhat collapsing. There is civil disobedience and somewhat civil unrest. There is tons of protests that are occurring around the country. We have upcoming issues with trade. Okay, so with Trump in the White House again, there's massive issues coming up with trade. But there is one thing I wanted to talk about, and that was the issue of unemployment in China. So we're going to take a look at this video. It goes around talk minutes, and let's take
I
a look and
feel
see
like
what's
I
happening in
can't
China.
hold on any longer.
A college student from Guangdong who's been job hunting for 3 months after graduation without success breaks down in tears as frustration overtakes her. China's economic downturn continues, and the number of college graduates each year keeps rising. On platforms like Douyin, WeChat, Kuaishou, and Xiaohongshu, many young people vent their frustration and sometimes break down, sharing stories of being laid off or struggling to find work. Just how severe is the situation? Let's listen to their voices.
I don't know if I can go on. I just lost my job. After 12 years working in Beijing, today is my last day. Everyone said 2024 would be tough, and companies are downsizing everywhere. I wasn't spared. This morning, I went to work as usual, took the bus, ordered lunch. Then suddenly, the boss called everyone in for a meeting. That was it. Today was our last day. Some of my colleagues are over 40, so it is not easy for them to find work either. I'm just under 35-year cutoff. Another female co-worker just got married, hoping to start a family. But now we are all struggling in our own ways.
被打脸了，真的是被打脸了。
I feel like I got slapped in the face, really hit hard by reality. Here I am at 35, with a graduate degree from a top school, struggling to make even 1,000 yuan after paying our 20,000 yuan mortgage. Both my wife and I are out of work. Before, we earned over 50,000 yuan combined, with bonuses and all, making our mortgage feel manageable. But now, both of us are suddenly unemployed. Last December, I got a pay cut, and despite being an AI project director working 5 years at the company, I was laid off.
Today I went to 3 job interviews but got rejected by all. They said I was too old at 35. One interview came through a friend's introduction. Otherwise, they wouldn't even
I'm not gonna lie, this voice sounds very
consider
Western.
someone my age. I'm not married, have no kids, and no house or car. I'm not sure if that's a good or bad thing in my situation.
我现在每天在家躺着。
I spend every day lying around at home, not knowing what I can do anymore. I graduated in 2025 from a good university, but I can't find anything. I have experience with major tech firms like Bilibili, NetEase, ByteDance, and Kuaishou, but none of it seems to matter. Either I get no responses or interviews are postponed indefinitely. Is it supposed to be this hard? The job market used to make me laugh, but now I just feel desperate. Does anyone else even have an offer?
China's unemployment situation worsens every day. This year, layoffs have become common in many big companies. Some people go to work cheerfully in the morning, only to find out in the afternoon meeting that their jobs are gone. Social media platforms like Douyin, Kuaishou, and Xiaohongshu are filled with posts about unemployment. Users share experiences of hardship, complaints about workplace injustices, and feelings of helplessness or anger. Top tech firms like Alibaba and Tencent have also been conducting massive layoffs. Alibaba laid off over 20,000 employees in the first 2 quarters alone. Tencent has also steadily reduced its workforce since 2022, cutting about 10% across multiple departments. Foreign companies are no longer the
It's interesting when you align this, what's happening over in China, to basically what's going to happen to the West. China is syncing up with the lunar cycle, and basically we're able to get a first-hand glimpse of what is actually coming here. You know, these obviously they've got 1 billion people, so the magnitude of what we see over there to what is happening here is going to be, you know, proportionally defined. However, it's interesting to see that they have synced up relatively well with the lunar cycle. Business
The
cycle
golden
is
ticket
down.
either. This year, companies like Accenture, IBM, Ericsson, and Cisco implemented large-scale layoffs, with Fidelity International recently closing its European and American business departments in Dalian, affecting around 500 workers. The number of graduates keep climbing, reaching 8.7 million in 2020, 9.1 million in 2021, over 10 million in 2022, and 11.6 million in 2023. This year, it's 11.8 million. On October 22nd, data from China's National Bureau of Statistics showed a youth unemployment rate of 17.6% in September, the second highest this year. However, experts believe this is an underestimate. Beijing University scholar Zhang Dandan estimated last March that youth unemployment may have reached as high as 46.5%. According to multiple sources, the actual employment rate for college graduates this year is around 50%, lower than last year. Many companies have started layoffs, beginning with older employees. Even international students who have returned to China after studying abroad are now part of the unemployment population.
我叫飞跃，广东湛江人，90后。
In a Douyin video, a young man from Zhangjiang, Guangdong, a returnee born in the 1990s, shared his story. He left high school for medical university, dropped out 2 years later to study English and animation, and eventually got into a design school in New York. After graduating, he chose to return to China, only to experience over a dozen job rejections since last year. He wonders why life has to be so hard. Many companies openly refuse to hire anyone over 35, leaving job seekers in this age group in a difficult position. On one hand, they bring extensive experience and skills. On the other, they're denied opportunities due to their age. In August, Chinese news outlet NetEase reported about a man in Zhejiang who broke down crying late at night while wandering the streets. When kind strangers approached to see what was wrong, he revealed his troubles. He has 2 young children back home, and his wife is a full-time mom. He used to send his paycheck back home promptly, as their living expenses were high. But recently, his company faced financial struggles and began layoffs, and he was cut. To avoid worrying his wife, he didn't tell her and immediately started job hunting. But the search has been difficult. He's over 40 with limited skills, and he faces rejection at every interview. After a long day traveling for a factory job interview, he was told to wait for a response, though he knew his chances were slim. On the way back, it was already dark, and he hadn't eaten. His wife called, asking him to send money for household expenses. Not wanting to tell her the truth, he said he'd transfer it soon. After hanging up, he couldn't hold back his emotions any longer and broke down crying. There are many similar cases, people losing their jobs, struggling to find work for months, and dealing with immense financial pressure. Many believe that in such situations, the Chinese government should bear responsibility, but it has distanced itself completely. By 2027, the number of college graduates is expected to reach nearly 14 million. Financial commentator Tsai Shen-kun stated that this is not the time for the government to simply inject funds to boost the economy or save businesses, as companies lack the motivation or avenues to invest. What future can private companies hope for in this climate? A veteran in China's capital markets, Xu Zhen, remarked that the economy is already severely weakened. By 2024, 460,000 businesses have shut down, along with 3.1 million small business closures, triggering waves of unemployment that directly impact the job market. Renowned Taiwanese media figure Zhao Xiaohui commented that China's unemployment issue is structural, with an economic collapse looming in the background. She warned of 4 major impacts. First, college graduates unable to apply their skills. Second, an increase in young people relying on family support, adding financial strain. Third, delayed marriages and lower birth rates due to
Oh yeah, that's a big one. That's a big issue in China right now. Government's somewhat trying to outlaw people staying single and charging them basically if they don't
a
get
lack
married and
of
have kids.
income. And fourth, a loss of confidence among young people, which could threaten the CCP's rule. When the people are pushed too far, it could ignite a dangerous fire. In reality, even those who have jobs feel the pressure, as labor has become undervalued.
以前总觉得爸妈转200太少了。
I used to think it was so little when my parents transferred 200 yuan. Why couldn't they earn more? Now that I'm working, I realize that making 200 yuan means working over 10 hours a day. They're giving everything they have. Their youth was spent working tirelessly. I may stand taller than my dad now, but I can't hold up the world he carried. In today's competitive environment, Even highly educated young people have to settle for lower positions. Master's graduates are now working as security guards and dorm supervisors. In September, Yunnan Boshan College announces 7 hires for dorm and security roles, 4 of whom hold master's degrees. Similarly, a new temporary worker at Nanjing University's affiliated school in Suzhou is a physics graduate. Unemployment isn't only affecting recent graduates. Migrant workers, who once could rely on their strength to find work, now struggle with fewer job opportunities. It's over. I'm unemployed. I'm 34. Is this what middle-age unemployment looks like? My situation might be different from what people think, though. I'm a migrant worker, a carpenter in construction, so jobs have always been unstable. When there's work, I make 300 yuan a day. When there isn't, I make 0. Since the second half of last year, I've noticed work on construction sites becoming less and less available. This year, it's been very sporadic, with only about 3,000 yuan coming in here and there. Soon, in about a week, I have to start paying for my house again. Construction projects have stopped, and even small labor jobs are hard to find. With over 90 days until the new year, I looked into delivery and courier jobs. It's not that they think less of us migrant workers, we're hard workers, but these jobs pay around just over 3,000 yuan, which isn't enough for a family of 4. I don't know what to do anymore. In WeChat videos, young people who can't find work openly admit they now spend their time at Starbucks or libraries to hide their unemployment from family. One young graduate from Wuhan University shared how he pretends to go to work daily. After losing his last job over 4 months ago, he's been going to work by heading to the library at 8 a.m., where it's often hard to find a seat. He said, "There's so many people like me here pretending to work. I don't see it as avoiding reality. It just keeps my routine like I'm still employed." Online, some call this new group of unemployed tech workers in Chinese cities the new urban homeless. They spend their days in libraries to maintain a respectable image, living off savings as they search for new jobs. I really can't hold on anymore. I haven't slept for 3 nights, pushing through over 70 hours. My dark circles feel like they'll outlive me. I graduated in 1997, worked for just 3 years, and now I'm unemployed. The reason my boss gave was absurd. He said they decided to keep older employees who have families and children because they carry heavier burdens. I feel like crying at the moment. Like seriously, don't young people have pressure too? Growing up in a rural area, it's hard even to think about getting married. My parents can barely offer any support, maybe just enough to help with a wedding. But a house or a car? No chance. So I work as hard as I can, sometimes working late nights, sometimes doing side jobs. I managed to save enough to buy a home and a car in Wuhan with the down payment. In May last year, I finally got married, thinking I'd work hard to pay off those loans quickly. Now I have a 9-month-old daughter, and just thinking about her expenses makes me anxious. Honestly, just making it through each month feels like an achievement. After paying the mortgage and car loan, there's hardly anything left for food. This is the 3rd day in a row, and I haven't dared to tell my wife. Since we got married, she's been staying home with our baby, and I wouldn't want her to work just to ease my burden. It's already remarkable that she cares for our daughter. Every day, I go out to do side gigs, come back at night as if everything's normal, hiding my stress. I don't know how I'll make the next payments. Just thinking about it feels like 1,000 ants running through my heart. I don't know if any of you feel this way. I'm only 27 or 28, right at the age where I should be working hard. I can handle hardship. I'm willing to do any job. I'm not afraid of it at all. But the problem now is there's no money to be made. I'm being realistic. It's not like 3 years ago. Back then, if you worked hard and endured it, you could earn money. Now, even if you give your all, you might not make anything. Imagine working yourself to the bone, but what you earn isn't even enough to cover your mortgage or car loan. Then that effort becomes a form of suffering, a real struggle.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do not actually realize what's coming to the West, and if only they can see what's happening in China right now, they're going to get an idea of what's coming here in about 18 months.